Critical theory asserts that capitalism is so ingratiated in our culture and in our modes of production that it has robbed us of the ability to think differently, to conceptualize other modes of production, both materially and culturally. And the answers to that conclusion by Horkheimer, Adorno, and Marcuse is a complete abolition, a negation of the current system that we occupy, which is liberal capitalism. The critical theorist is so convinced that the very mechanisms that make our way of life is imprisonment, that capitalism is perpetuating itself by giving us a bill of false needs. The critical theorists quite literally think that we are under a false consciousness, that we are asleep, that the modern conveniences that capitalism and liberalism afford us is actually a form of control. This is what they believe. Their solution is not just a critique, it is a critique to the exclusion of everything else. It is ignoring the reality that other systems and the horrors that they've brought, socialism, that's the end goal of critical theory is socialism. Okay, critical theory is just Marxism, but except with the focus of purely the material, the economy, and modes of production. Critical theory shifted its focus to culture. The Frankfurt School is called the Institute for Social Research. So since the early 1930s, neo-Marxist academics have flooded colleges and in all higher education, and they've swapped critical thinking for critical theory. And no, those things are not the same. They're not even remotely close, just because they have the word critical in them. Okay? Critical theory is definitionally revolutionary. This is from Horkheimer himself. Okay? The left, whether they know it or not, are under the operation of critical theory. Knowingly or unknowingly, it doesn't matter. The end result is the overthrow of our system. What is to be done? What do we do with that? They're only gaining more ground. So, I came up with my own critical theory, which I call critical minority theory. And it is a theory directed specifically at those who occupy this way of thinking. They want to subvert, overthrow, and then punish all those who supported that system. Because a critical theorist thinks systemically. They think in terms of systems. They don't just go after the thing they don't like, they deconstruct the systems that support it. That includes people. What is to be done? Horkheimer said that there's not going to be a single shot fired in the revolution, that it's going to happen incrementally over generations, and that they're going to inject Marxist thought into all of culture. And that's where we're at. So when I see those who are asking themselves, or just asking out loud in general, how did we get here? How do we get to the point where right-leaning news articles are being actively suppressed and left-wing ones are promoted, advertised? That's because critical theorists have infiltrated all branches of media, of culture, the schools, the museums, the news, movies, video games, everything that that influences culture, the critical theorist is already there, and they've been hard at work for years. What is to be done? Well, my critical theory is aimed directly at ideological minorities within an established system of government or of economy. A radical small minority of people doesn't get to dictate the hegemony. A nation is made up of people who are agreeing to participate in that system. We've made our choice. The people who like liberalism, who like capitalism, that's their choice. And a radical minority does not get to come in and decide, no, you don't get to have that choice. We're instead going to undermine that choice and ultimately overthrow it so that you no longer have a choice. That the only alternative is socialism. No. No. In their attempts to actively censor and suppress right-leaning, or as Marcuse put it, self-stylized conservatives, they've been actively suppressing us for years. Repressive Tolerance was written in 1965, a year after the Civil Rights Movement. So, it is my theory that we engage in censorship in the opposite direction. And this isn't toward anyone and everyone. This is censorship specifically aimed at those who want to overthrow the existing system because they, in their imagination, have determined it to be oppressive. Therefore, they're going to use the tools which that oppressive system gives them, such as freedom of speech, to undermine freedom of speech itself. These are people who are using the tools being given to them by the system they declare to be oppressive. It is my opinion that they do not deserve those tools, that it should be taken from them. And again, this is specific. This is specific toward people who are explicitly revolutionary and believe our way of life is irreconcilable. That the only way to go forward is the complete destruction of what it is that our forefathers built. So that's where I'm coming from. After doing as much research on critical theory as I've done, it needs to be stopped. It has to be. More people need to know what it is and identify it for the evil that it is. If you've done any research on critical theory, let me know because I'm curious. I want to know what your solution is. I want to know if my solution is I get that it is unconstitutional. But for the purposes of preserving the Constitution, for those who accept it, if you reject the Constitution, you reject the freedoms that it gives you, why should you be allowed those freedoms? So, that's where I'm at. Let me know what you think.